Hi and welcome back to our second video where we are going to have a look at our DevSecOps pipeline which we built with GitHub. In this video we start building right from scratch our DevSecOps pipeline with GitHub. So when we look at the full picture of our DevSecOps pipeline, then right now we are just going to build up our build step together with GitHub in this video. As in our videos about GitLab, we are going to use the same project, which is a simple Java Spring Boot application. This simple Java Spring Boot application is just a web service which returns Spring is here. We also have unit tests which calls that web service and checks if the result is really Spring is here. So therefore, in this video, we are going to take this source code for this Java Spring Boot application and we are setting up in GitHub a build pipeline where this code is built, and then another action where we are going to execute the unit tests. So let's have a look at the prerequisites which we have for GitHub and also about the licensing model. If you want to use a private repository and you don't want to have a public repository, then you need to have an enterprise license if you want to use the advanced security features. So therefore, because we want to use the advanced security features and we would like to have a private repository, we need to have an enterprise license, which we already have. GitHub can be used in the cloud, so as software as a service. But of course, you can also install GitHub on-premise with the GitHub Enterprise server.
Before giving you a demo of how we do everything, let's introduce the steps right now. First, you will have to create an account if you do not yet have one. Next, we will going to create a repository and we will import the code of the simple Spring Boot application into that repository. Then we will create this simple CI pipeline to build the application and run the unit tests. It's good to know that GitHub calls pipelines workflows, and they are defined in a directory called .github/workflows. As our workflows will require actions, we will have to enable actions in settings. An action is a small custom application that runs within GitHub. GitHub has the concept of having multiple workflows that can be also glued together. Test results can be made visible as a summary and are downloadable in a downloadable zip file. So let's have a look of how this everything works.
So right now we are on the homepage of GitHub, and on this homepage you are able to sign in for GitHub. Because I already have a login for GitHub, I don't need to sign up, but if you don't have already a login, then you need to use this sign up in here. So therefore, I will now go to sign in, provide my credentials, and now I can see all of my repositories where I'm working on. I can see all of the notifications of the repositories which I'm following, and also all the latest changes. So now we are going to create a new repository so that we can add the source code of that Java Spring Boot application. For that, we are going to click here on New. And here we have the possibility to import repositories. We also have the possibility to have templates for our repositories. We leave that with no template. And here we have the possibility to select an owner, where we are going with our enterprise account, which we have, and then we can add here a repository name. The repository name will be DevSecOps demo. We leave the description out, and as said, we are going to use a private repository. Here we could add a README file, also the gitignore file, or also a license. If you are doing a real repository, we recommend to fill out that correctly, but in our case, we will leave that out. And now we can create our repository. So now we are on the page of our repository. We see here the tab code. And here we have all the information so that we can use our repository. On the next tab, we have issues. This is a very basic issue tracking. Of course, you can also do backlog management in here. Next, we see all of our pull requests. Of course, we don't have yet a pull requests, and we will also introduce that in one of our videos. And then we have the actions. Here we will generate our GitHub actions. So here we are going to build up our pipeline. With projects, we can do basic project management, like grouping some of the issues and so on, creating spreadsheets. And then we have the wiki, where we can document our code. On the security tab, we have all the security relevant information and configuration. This is the tab which we will use heavily in the upcoming videos. On the Insights tab, we get some insights on the contributors, some statistics. For us, very relevant will be the dependency graph, which we will also have a look at in a later video. And then on the last tab, we have the settings, where we can configure our project. If you don't have this action tab up here, then you need to go to Actions and General, and you need to enable here that you can use actions in GitHub.
Please be aware that actions are small custom applications. That means code that's most likely not provided by you. Yet this code runs within your pipeline and may have access to critical information such as passwords, for example. So make sure that you really think about what type of actions you enable here. This first option, described by Romano, just accepts every action that exists within the marketplace of GitHub. You have also the option to allow only enterprise actions and workflows agreed by the enterprise are okay. Or you can enable the last option that allows enterprise-defined actions as well as specific non-enterprise actions. From a security point of view, the best solution would be to only allow enterprise actions. If you want to leverage community-provided actions, the process would then be that you review the community-provided actions and import them into enterprise code space. Basically, copying custom code into enterprise code and making sure that you security review it deeply.
So to keep things a little bit simple, we will just use this option here. In that case, we just agreed on that so that we don't lose that much time. But of course, if you are in an enterprise environment, then this other option is the better solution and the more secure solution. So now let's import the code. We go back to code, and here we go down here and say import code. We have already created a project with all of the code, which we are now going to import. So as you can see, we have now imported the code, and we see now all of the source code files in here. So here we have our main application with all of the project configuration files. When we now go to source, main, Java demo application, the demo application, then we can see here our application, which we have. We go back to the controller, where we have now our service. So when we go back here to source and go into the test, then we can also see in here our test, where we are going to test if Spring is here. Good, let's go back to the code repository which we have. So now we are going to create our pipeline. For that, we create here a new file, and what we need to do is we need to create here a folder which is GitHub, and then workflows, and in here we will create a main-pipeline.yml file. And you also can see this is also how you create folders, by just adding slashes. So first we need to give our pipeline a name, and the name of our pipeline will be 00 main CI CD pipeline. Next, we need to add the triggers which will start the workflow. For that, we have the push on the main branch, where we of course also ignore some of the files, and then we also can manually execute the pipeline. Next, we add a job for our build. As you can see, our job, which we added in here, has now a name, which is build, and then it uses a build YAML file, which we are going to introduce next. So next we have the secrets, where we are going to give to this build YAML file the secrets of this build job which we are having here. What is also worth mentioning that the ID of this job is build, and the name which gets displayed is here this build. So next we are going to save that or commit that file. We do that directly to the main branch and say it's create main pipeline YAML. So now we see our main pipeline YAML, and as introduced before, we now need to create another YAML file, which is the build YAML. For that, we are going again here and say create new file. This file will be called build YAML. As before, we need to give this workflow a name, and again we do that by name. We call it 10 build pipeline. Next, we need to add when this workflow is run. We add again workflow dispatch, which enables that we can run it manually, and we also need to add workflow call, which allows us to call this workflow from another workflow. Next, we need to add here now the build job. And for that, we have already prepared quite a lot of code, which we are going to explain you right now. So first of all, we see here the build job with the required permissions. And then we see that it will run in a Ubuntu latest container. And here you can see the steps which get executed in this build step. So as you can see, these jobs, they use steps, and in here you can see now they use actions. And these are exactly these actions that we have enabled. Here you see the checkout v3 action, which gets executed in this step. So in that case, this action will check out our code. Here we have a different action where we set up Java so that we can compile the Java code. So after that, we are going to compile our application. And as you can see, we are creating here the directories which are needed, where we are going to publish the output of the compile step.
Now that we have prepared the application, we do in the next step execute the tests again with Maven. After test execution, we prepare the results in a distinct directory. Then we upload the application so that it is available for download. Next, we do the same with the test results we prepared and make them available as a zip file to the users. And lastly, we publish the results of the test in the user interface we will see.
So now let's commit that to our source code repository. So now let's go to actions, and as you can see, our pipeline successfully run. We are now on the actions tab, and you see here that the whole naming that we used has a reasoning, so that we see the main CI/CD pipeline and the build pipeline right after each other. This is also a recommendation to you to always use such naming schemas for your pipeline. So now when we click on our main pipeline and here on update main pipeline, then we are on that summary page. So this here is an overview about our pipeline run. So the run which was executed. We see here the total duration which it took, and also of course the status and the job which got executed. When we go down here a little bit, then we also can see that 3 tests have been found and executed. We see here the artifacts with the application binaries and the test results. You can download these artifacts as zip files. Speaking about the test results, we also see here the test results. 3 tests got executed and everything is okay. So when we again go up here, we have here the build job which got executed, and we have now here all of the log information which we have for that build job.
You may have wondered how we came to know that we have to run the action checkout version 3 to actually check out the code from GitHub into the container to compile. Well, for that, there is the GitHub Marketplace. It is the place to go when you are looking for GitHub actions. In our case, we were looking to check out code from the repository. And the first proposal was this checkout action. For each action, there's a description what it does and how you can use it. Note also that this action is provided by a verified creator. This means that whoever provided this code for this action was verified by GitHub to be a nice player in the marketplace. So when it comes to security, this is your kind of preferred actions to use. But as said, within this session already, it would be even better to copy the content of this action into your enterprise repository after security reviewing it, and then use the action directly from your enterprise repository. If you're looking for how to use this action, you're covered in a part of the marketplace description. And with this, we're at the end of the session. We looked at how to create a pipeline from scratch and how to build and test the application.
In our next session, we will have a look at software composition analysis. Stay tuned for the next video.